You become more vulnerable to be in your ego after actually immediately after a spiritual awakening, and here's why. So this video is going to be about this, that why it becomes easy for you to get into your ego, especially immediately after a spiritual awakening. So yeah. So I had my spiritual awakening last year, and that changed everything for me. One major thing that led me to a spiritual awakening is the fact that I had been following certain intuitions, by this, from the spirit realm, and yeah, finally I got external confirmations that that I am on the right path. Like it was a kind of a synchronicity, that I found. I love how birds are chirping. I just hope they're okay. So yeah. So I had my spiritual awakening last year, and yeah. So I received a kind of synchronicities, that I mean, I had been receiving a kind of synchronicities always on my path, and number synchronicities are not the only synchronicities, okay? Like 11, 11, 12, 12, people are seeing 2, 2, 2, whatever. And number synchronicities are not the only kind of synchronicities, right? There are other synchronicities as well, like the whole universe. It's like you feel that the whole universe is surrounding around you, around the more depth you touch within yourself, the more deeper you go within yourself, the more deeply you understand your own situation, your own plight, your own experiences, your own desires, your own divine purpose. The more you reach that divine stillness, the more the universe starts to revolve around you, literally. And it's a kind of you will feel a kind of a synchronicity. The world is effortlessly happening for you. You will feel like you have to have access to a certain kind of wisdom, and it will happen for you. And somebody who's more in the feminine energies is known for her effortlessness. Okay, somebody is more in their, and they like being, and usually it is being seen as lazy. The feminine is seen as being lazy. The very fact that the household work that a woman does, how it is seen as just non-productive, how it is seen as um, um, how it is seen as just comfortable, or I mean, it's not seen as productive, it's not seen as you making money. Even saving money is a kind of making money. She does all the budgeting, everything. She gets things done at an easier rates, everything. And all of this is not seen as something productive. We live in a very capitalist, very masculine, imbalanced masculine society. I think a balanced masculine is what who has accumulated a feminine, who has the balance of the feminine energies in him or her. You nowadays, the situation nowadays is that men are facing a whole lot of problem, with their emotion dealing. Well, I feel many women themselves they are also, women who are more emotionally expressive, who are more emotional and everything, this seen as crazy. In our society, जब समाज में रहते हैं, they see it as crazy. So yeah, the feminine is seen as lazy, but she's not. Okay, she just effortlessly does her thing. Okay, and masculine is more about putting effort. Okay, and he likes doing his efforting. Okay, it's his nature, kindish. Okay, somebody who's more in the masculine energies will like to do that. The feminine is more about laid back. It will look as if she's lazy, but she isn't. Okay, so yeah, really want to discuss that point over here. uh yeah, where was I? Just a second. Where was I? So I was talking about, how yeah, it's you become more vulnerable to ego, right, once you have a spiritual awakening. And why did I come here to feminine and masculine energies? I'll have to go back and watch the video, my own video again. So we were talking about synchronicities. So I had my spiritual awakening last year, and I had my synchronicities, and I really found external synchronicities that happened for me the last year. So yeah, it was a kind of a spiritual awakening, that, and I had been following a certain intuitive, guidances from the spiritual realm, and they were very, I had to be really courageous to do what I was doing and everything, and they're so silly and the crazy, I can't even, it's just weird to even tell. Yeah, leave it. So yeah, all of these things are happening, but I really got some external confirmations, and and it was just in my face. Synchronicities were completely in my face, like like, you are on the right path, you are on the right path, you are on the right path. And that's it. I had to I had to believe in my power. It was enough is enough. It came to a point where I was just running away from my own power. I was running away from seeing that how capable I am, of how capable I am as a human being. We are all running from it, just not me. We all are actually running from how capable we are as human beings. We are taking safer options, secure options. We are not getting into unknown zone. We are not taking risk. We are doing what we are programmed to do. We are, all of us are really running away from our own power. But when I and I'd been really stuck in that for like many years. I've been really stuck in that, in that matrix for really for many years. But when I really started to have some intuitive guidances, I pushed myself into doing that. I wanted to so much, experience something more than where was I, because it was making me so restless, it was making me so despondent, it was making me really sad, really frustrated, really boring. So I followed those intuitive guidances, and I got external confirmations, and I got external synchronicities up in my face, and I had to believe that I was capable of holding that power. I cannot run away from that anymore. So that's the story of how I had my spiritual awakening, right? And yeah, I had my spiritual awakening, and yeah, and when you have your spiritual awakening, it's easier for you to fall back again into the ego. Okay, so it's easier to fall back again into the ego. Okay, it's because yeah, it's easier to fall back into the ego. Yeah, it's actually very easy to fall back again into your ego when you have your spiritual awakening. Because certain truths come into your face. Certain truths just really come into your face, and you realize more and more truth. And you know how the nature of the truth is, it's bitter. It's as bitter as a Karela. It's as bitter as, what do we say Karela in English? Bitter gourd? So yeah, the truth is bitter, right? But I love Karela anyhow. Yeah, and I love truth, and I want to stay in truth, however bitter it is. Same goes with truth, same goes with Karela, same goes with truth. So yeah, I mean, the truth is bitter, and when it comes into your face and you see it, you finally start seeing the truth that you were not ready to see before, that you were denying. Truth is always in front of us. That's the nature of truth. We go and we keep asking questions from our gurus and stuff like, but it's always, the answers were always there. We just chose to close our eyes and then make up some question, and then we went in to a guru to ask him that, can you answer this, can you answer that. Sometimes we do that to test our own guru. Sometimes we do that to sometimes we do that to distract ourselves more again from seeing our own truth. So answers have always been in our face. Okay, truth has always been in our face. Spiritual journey will feel you more like a home. It will feel you that it doesn't feel like you went and achieved something. Spiritual journey will feel like you're more coming to your home. It doesn't feel like you've gone and achieved and you have gained this. It doesn't feel like a profit. It feels like, oh, you're coming home. You are getting closer to who you are inside of you. So that's what a spiritual journey will feel like. Okay, and truth, which I was really avoiding for many years, and I saw it, and sometimes it's bitter, and it can just ignite your traumas. It can just ignite your fears. It can just ignite your insecurities. And what are all these, dear? This is all ego. Anything and everything that has you, that has the essence of you, is an ego, right? So yeah, it really triggered some bitterness in me. It really triggered some hatred in me. It really triggered some insecurities in me. It really triggered some fears in me. And when you really go through a spiritual awakening, it will happen. It's bitter. It's sometimes bitter. It's very relieving, but it's really also bitter as well. So yeah, but so it's easier for me to step into my ego. I could have stepped into my ego. They are so smooth while they fly. How are they so smooth and calm? Like, they're so tension free. They don't panic at all, these eagles. How? They are so smooth. Have you seen how they fly? They're so smooth. And trust me, I feel that eagles are, I've been really connected. I am feel like connecting to an eagle. Animals, there is a spirit realm of animals as well, and sometimes we connect to the spirit realm of animals as well, on our journey. And yeah, I had been felt connected to different insects and animals on my journey. And right now I really feel that after my spiritual awakening, I felt very much connected to eagles. Because eagles are known for rising above the dirt, rising above your own self, rising above when it rains, eagles go above the clouds to fly smooth. That's what they're known for, right? So yeah, when you see the truth that you've been avoiding, you've been put into that place of seeing the truth, your ego can be triggered. You really can be triggered, and it can be really triggered. So it's so important that it was very important for me to move into a spiritual cave, not to be any more affected by as an empath. It's easier for me to pick up on the judgments, opinions of people, even if they're not saying it. Trust me, I can do that. I am so magical. I don't even realize it's a curse or it's a blessing, but I can really do that. Even if people don't say it to me, I just know what they feel about it. I feel about certain things, and I can pick up on their judgments and opinions. And I'm sorry I'm doing all of this. I'm moving my hands a lot because a lot of mosquitoes here. So yeah. So where was I? Forget it. Where was I? Where was I? Where was I? So where was I? Where was I? Why do I forget it? I'm not going back to watch this video again. Literally. Yeah, so when you see the truth, you are, you know, you're more bound to get into your ego, right? It's you can get, you know, it's a comfort place, you know, to get into your ego, to get, you know, to get triggered with your traumas. But choose to dissolve, my dear. Choose to dissolve and go into a spiritual cave. Just be you need to become very highly aware right now. When you've really gone through a spiritual awakening, it's time for you to get into a spiritual cave, you know, just starting being alone. Yeah, so I was talking about how I can get, you know, as an empath, I can get really affected by other people opinions and judgments, you know, without even them saying it, opening their mouth. You know, if they feel a certain kind of doubt towards me, I will pick up on that doubt. Okay, I will pick up that doubt towards my own self, you know, even if they've not said it to me, but I know it, you know, that's how they feel around me, that's how they feel about me, because, you know, they are thinking from their level of consciousness, right? So yeah, all these things are there. So you know, it's just so it's very important, you know, especially if you're an empath, you know, especially if you're a sensitive person, and somebody is more in feminine energies will be an empath, you know. So just make sure that you really get into little bit of, you know, little bit of spiritual cave for some time at least. Go into that cave, you know, and really, you know, stay more and more aware, because you're now more vulnerable to get into your ego, right? So even the last video that I did, you know, that I'm connected to a higher consciousness, I did this video today morning itself. So I'm connected to a higher consciousness. This video, it took me like 5 to 6 days to really think, am I doing this? Am I going to do this? Am I going to post this? I'm really going to talk about it, because, you know, it's little, you know, it's like I have to make sure that I'm not doing it from the place of ego, you know, because one of my really amazing trauma is that I want to be seen and heard. You know, I have been misunderstood a lot. I have been, you know, not taken as who I am, you know, and we live in a world where, you know, feminine energies are not really respected, not really, you know, of course they're not seen as very productive, so they feel it's foolish to be in the feminine energies or whatever. So one of my really trauma is a trigger is that I don't want to be, you know, I want to be seen and heard, you know, for who I am, you know, and yeah, that's one of my trigger. So yeah, so I, you know, so before I was really posting it, I really had to make sure, I had to be really aware that I do it, you know, that I always try to do these things. I really always try to make these videos, you know, from the place of dissolution, you know. So I more or less, I feel like that, you know, I just hope that I'm more and more doing the God's work, you know. I feel like that, and I want to feel like that rather than doing something for myself. I feel like I want to do more and more of God's work, you know. And it's this simple practice of dissolution. It's a simple sadhana, you know, it's a simple practice of dissolution, you know. And, you know, the more you stay in your ego, it's heavy, you know, it's heavy to have all those traumas, all those fears, all insecurity, it's just heavy, you know. But that simple act of dissolution, you know, that whatever video I make, I hope I make, you know, with you know, with the idea of dissolving, you know, with you. Or, you know, I just hope I do it, you know, I become more and more of your hand, you know, I become more and more of God's hand, rather than, you know, it's about me. So sometimes really ego can get into, you know, and it's very unconsciousness. Like mujhe ab Ravan samajh aa raha hai, like I'm feeling so empathetic towards Ravan uncle, Literally, yaar. I mean, after having 10 heads of, gyan and everything, it's so very unconsciously, it's very easy unconsciously, it's very easy to flow into your ego state. No doubt, devtas, I've been watching Hindu myths, and you will always find that devtas, it's easier for, you'll find that devtas are more, they're very egoistic. The devtas, they have done good enough, they've come into their ego, that, and they think they're superior than, the demons or the lower consciousness. But no, it's not like that. The real god was always Shiva, because they really went to the earthly plane, and they've learned from human beings as well, and they respected anyone and everyone. Trust me, Shiva respected anyone and everyone. That's a real god. Devtas were not. They were so egoistic about their own situation. So yeah. So when you get into your truth, when you start seeing the truth, please practice a little bit of I needed it. Maybe you don't need it, so you don't have to do it. But yeah, you can practice a little bit of staying away from people, and just get into and absorb more. Just learn to listen to your own energy. Let your energy come at a rise, okay? Let your energy come at a rise, so that when somebody else's energy comes in, that's not your energy, that's their energy, okay? So the difference, right? So when you come into spiritual awakening, just make sure that you are not being touched by the ego. It's easier, you become more vulnerable to ego, and you need really heightened awareness. You really need a very heavy heightened awareness, so that you don't go back, you don't slip back into the ego. And for they say that spiritual ego is one thing. Yes, spiritual ego is one thing as well, but there are other types of egos as well. After spiritual awakening, you can fall into various other kinds of egos. So yeah, so yeah, I just really wanted to do this video for that matter, because I have been experiencing that. I really want to do that video. I'm connected to higher consciousness, and I was making sure that's not my ego, it's not my ego, it's not my ego, and I just hope it's not my ego, right? So yeah, you really have to take your time, really have to sit with yourself. Don't rush. Don't. I know your mind will tell you, you have to do this, I know your mind will just ask you to rush. You will miss out on something. That's how the mind is. Mind works out of fear. It cannot rest. It will tell you will miss out on this, you will miss out on the FOMO. You will miss out on things, you will miss out on this, that, or whatever. Just ask you to quicken up. You don't have to. Don't rush. Simply be, okay? And connect to your infinite self, connect to your higher self, and then act upon it. Act upon with love, not act with a sense of dissolution in the infinite, rather than acting from your ego. So yeah, that's the message I really wanted to put in here. So thank you for watching the video. Yeah, like, share, comment if it's possible. Thank you so much.